if we look at the Ten Commandments, where it says clearly in the books of the same Old Testament, it says clearly that do not convert your neighbor's items, or be envious of something that that belong to another person and all that. Now, God is teaching them or moving them along that line to take people's land and people's things, and He's encouraging it in that way. These are some things that I don't know. What would the people think then? How would the people, were they not thinking about that? Because they are going to benefit from the thing, so they don't think about it. But when they are caught into that situation, then they start thinking about it. So here they are. They will be taking all these nations and what they have. And when in we read Deuteronomy 7:2, and when the Lord your God delivers them over to you, He's going to give them, mislead them, and give them to their hands, and you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. Don't even have mercy to them. Don't have covenant with them. Don't have mercy. The all great and merciful God, gracious God, even the Quran, that is what is mentioned of God. As long as you are in obedience and acceptance of His will. But if you're against His will, there's no mercy for you. You're supposed to be destroyed. He won't take His powers and change you or deliver you from the spirit that is making you disobedient. He will destroy you and kill you from there, because you are unchangeable. I don't know what is it with man as flesh and God. I don't know how He created us that there are some things about us which is beyond resolving or beyond correction. I don't know that there is that strong sense of hatred. That is what I suspect, that it is not coming from God, because God definitely have got solutions to it. Because at some point we are also reading from the same book where God's presence is making a difference. His power overshadows everything and cleanses everything and makes everything right. Then if He has that ability, why will He turn around again and ignore His own patience and strike at the innocent people? So I then realized that there may be other voices pinching in these things. The true enemy is acting as God in some point and at some point. But even if that's the case, why is God quiet about it? Why is He sitting idle looking at the enemy pretending to be Him and destroying His items or his creation, and He does nothing? Whilst He has the ability to destroy everything and anything on this universe is under Him, that He can command and destroy it. Anything to end anything that He hates, He can do that. Then I say to myself, if He's not doing it, that means God has got limitations. God has got limits to what He can do and what He cannot do. So you can't ultimately say or conclude that God is limitless with power. God is all-knowing. Because in so many instances, in Genesis 6 and 7, as Abel was doing that, God comes in, even in it from the time of Adam. And then He asks them, what did you do? Why are you afraid? Why? He didn't know the situation, what was happening. He has to ask. In some teachings, they will tell you that no, God was just trying to, act as if He doesn't know what is going on. It could be the case. But let's take the text as it is, as it's been translated. That is what God is, the message God wants us to know or wants us to know. He wants us to understand that He didn't know. And He asked. And He asked Cain, where is your brother? He said, your brother is crying to you. Where is your brother? Maybe during these times, God was now, through experience, was gaining, becoming aware and being aware of everything. And now He makes sure that He will not go to sleep. He will be aware of everything that goes on, because that time He didn't think anything will happen and didn't care until some of His spirits betrayed Him and, gave up some secrets to us, telling us things to do with, like, if you eat this, you will know things, which are great, or you become like God and all that. It was like a betrayal from His own constituents or His own group of spirits, because that's what Lucifer is described in the Bible, as someone who betrayed God, somebody who was going about his own business and saying that, guys, God doesn't want you to have life. And honestly and truthfully, God thinks that we not having life, or that kind of life that we assume are pursuing, will be better off. So I don't know where at some point that God now becomes someone telling us that we are supposed to have life. I don't know how God changes his mind, but God becomes sorry sometimes, so God can change his mind too. He can do as he so please, nothing about that. But our description of him must be as he is. And God also, in being the best of God and good demonstrator, and his ability and power that we think of him, I don't think he will be going off and on and demonstrating an act that suggests that he's got two-minded, approach, that he's unstable in his thoughts, because God cannot be someone who is unstable in his thoughts. So if we think this, and from what I'm explaining, you can see clearly that these things, if you listen carefully, then you're getting the picture. But if you somehow listen to the bits and pieces put together, it's hard for it to make sense. But I've tried. I think I've tried for it to make sense, because how it's making sense to me is how I'm presenting it to you. I'm letting you get the picture that God is doing these things which are positive and doing the same things which are negative. It may not be the case that that's what he's doing, but let's take it that is the presentation, that it is all God doing all these things, and not me coming in with the application thinking that there is another voice that has been doing that, implicating God or trying to imitate God, because we don't have anything suggesting that there's somebody imitating anybody. Just analyzing who he is and all that makes me something click in my head to think that maybe there is a devil who is imitating God, because we also know that he does imitate God. But it's unbelievable, it's unthinkable to be thinking that his abilities and all that, it will be necessary for him to ask to kill, destroy people, and tell them not to have mercy on people that he created. For what reason? Whilst he knows that the source of all these things are spirits, angels, that has betrayed him, that he's capable and have power over them, and he could crush them and destroy them, and he leaves them to go free, and comes to tackle the creation that he has created, the things that, the computers that he has created, and he's hitting the computer's head, hitting the head and telling him to be right, punishing the computer and all that thing, whilst he is the one who connected all the veins and the wires that are there, that if something and the wires or somehow is disconnected or somehow is not working well, all he has to do is mend it. Mend the places that the problem is that is causing the what do you call it? It's causing the problem for that creature not to function well. Whatever the errors are, he could mend it, he could correct it. So why would he do that? I think that's what he would do. And so that's where you sort of think through. Now, if we go to Deuteronomy, we're still on Numbers. We're still on Deuteronomy. Another destroy, or 7:5 tells you to destroy their altars, just as he did the other. And then in Deuteronomy 7:18, it says, "You shall not be afraid of them, but you shall remember well what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt." Is it Deuteronomy here? Deuteronomy 7:16. Sorry. It says, "Also you shall destroy all the peoples whom the Lord your God delivers over to you. Your eyes shall have no pity on them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that will be a snare to you. If you should say in your heart, these nations are greater than I, how can I disposes them? How can I disposes what? How can I disposes them?" If you read Deuteronomy 7:16, this is what God is telling you. This is not me. Deuteronomy 16 is right there. This is not me, as you see, Deuteronomy